The day my father handed my brother $1,000,000 started like every other family gathering: too much food, too many opinions, and at least 3 relatives asking why I wasn't married yet. I should have known something suspicious was happening when my father stood up and tapped his glass with a spoon. The room instantly went silent. Even my uncle stopped arguing with the television. "I have an announcement," my father said proudly. My brother immediately adjusted his expensive watch and smiled. He always smiled like he already knew the answer to every question on earth. "I've decided to invest in my son's future." My brother's smile somehow grew larger. Then my father pulled out an envelope. Inside was a check. A very large check. A check containing $1,000,000. The entire room exploded into applause. My brother stood up like he had just won an election. $1,000,000? He asked. "You've always shown leadership potential," my father said. Leadership potential? The guy once got lost in a parking garage for 2 hours because he forgot which floor he parked on. Meanwhile, I sat quietly waiting for my envelope. Surely there was another envelope. Maybe a smaller one. Maybe a much smaller one. Maybe a coupon. Anything. Instead, my father turned toward me. "And you," I sat up straight, "can earn your own." That was it. No envelope. No check. Not even a gift card. Just 7 words. The room became awkwardly quiet. My cousin suddenly found the ceiling fascinating. My aunt became deeply interested in her mashed potatoes. My brother, however, looked delighted. "Honestly," he said, placing a hand on my shoulder, "Dad is teaching you an important life lesson." The man had possessed money for approximately 12 seconds and was already giving motivational speeches. "What lesson is that?" I asked. "Success comes from hard work." I stared at him. "You've literally never had a job." He ignored that inconvenient fact. The rest of the evening became unbearable. My brother walked around explaining how he planned to multiply his fortune. He talked about investments. He talked about entrepreneurship. He talked about becoming financially independent. Again, the money had been in his possession for less than an hour. At one point he started explaining wealth-building strategies to our grandfather. Our grandfather had actually built a successful company from nothing. Even he looked offended. When I finally got home that night, I was angry. Not devastated. Not heartbroken. Just annoyed. The whole thing felt so ridiculous that I couldn't stop laughing about it. So I opened my laptop and posted a short video. I simply described the dinner exactly as it happened. I told viewers how my father handed my brother $1,000,000 and then looked at me and said, "You can earn your own." Then I added, "Apparently my inheritance was character development." I went to sleep expecting maybe a few friends to laugh. The next morning, the video had thousands of views. People loved it. Strangers were sharing it everywhere. Comments poured in from people who couldn't believe my brother's behavior. Even better, they wanted more stories. As I sat reading hundreds of laughing comments, a thought crossed my mind. Maybe I hadn't received $1,000,000. Maybe I'd received something even more valuable. An endless source of comedy material. And my brother had no idea he was about to become the star of every joke I told. The viral video was supposed to be a one-time joke. Instead, it became the beginning of a career. Within weeks, people were constantly asking for updates about my millionaire brother. Every time he did something ridiculous, my audience wanted to hear about it. Fortunately, my brother treated bad decisions like an Olympic sport. The first business he launched was a luxury pet wellness company. Apparently, ordinary dogs were no longer acceptable. These dogs needed meditation classes, aromatherapy treatments, and professional yoga instructors. The business lasted exactly 3 months. Most pet owners refused to pay $200 so their golden retriever could learn breathing exercises. When the company collapsed, I told the story during an open mic comedy night. The audience laughed so hard that one guy nearly fell out of his chair. For the first time, I realized something. People weren't just laughing at my brother. They were laughing at the absurdity of people who think money automatically makes them smart. That night, a video clip of my performance exploded online. Millions of views followed. Comedy clubs started calling. Podcasts wanted interviews. Sponsors appeared. Meanwhile, my brother remained completely unaware that he was becoming internet famous for all the wrong reasons. Then he launched business number 2. Designer socks. Not ordinary designer socks. Designer socks for aliens. To this day, I have no idea how he convinced himself that extraterrestrials needed luxury footwear. His marketing campaign featured slogans like, "Universal comfort across the galaxy." Human customers barely bought them. Alien customers bought exactly 0. The company disappeared faster than his first business. Naturally, I turned the entire disaster into another comedy routine. That routine performed even better than the first. The comments section became ruthless. People started referring to my brother as the $1 million mistake. Others called him Captain Bad Investment. One person created a scoreboard tracking his business failures. I laughed so hard I nearly framed it. As my audience grew, so did my income. The irony wasn't lost on me. My father had told me to earn my own money. Technically, I was earning it by talking about the guy who received the money. The universe clearly had a strange sense of humor. Unfortunately, my brother finally discovered my videos. His reaction was magnificent. He called me at 2 in the morning. "You're making me look ridiculous." I nearly dropped my phone laughing. "You're starting businesses for alien socks." "That's not the point." "It feels like the point." The argument only gave me more material. Every angry phone call became another story. Every complaint became another joke. Every attempt to stop me generated another wave of views. Then something unexpected happened. One Friday night, after a sold-out show, I noticed someone waiting near the stage. She had attended several performances before. I remembered her because her laugh was impossible to ignore. While everyone else laughed normally, she laughed like someone discovering comedy for the first time. Every joke fascinated her. Every punchline seemed to surprise her. She was beautiful, confident, and completely different from anyone I'd ever met. When I walked over, she smiled. "You are very skilled at socially acceptable humiliation." I blinked. "Thank you?" "I think." She nodded seriously. "In my culture, publicly embarrassing relatives is considered an advanced communication technique." That was probably the strangest compliment I'd ever received. Oddly enough, it was also one of the nicest. We talked for nearly an hour. She asked questions about sarcasm, family rivalries, and human humor. Most people ask comedians where we got our jokes. She wanted to understand why jokes existed at all. By the end of the conversation, I knew 2 things. First, she was absolutely fascinating. Second, my life was becoming far stranger than anything I could have imagined the day my father handed my brother $1 million. And somehow, it felt like things were only getting started. Over the next few months, she appeared at nearly every show. At first, I assumed she was simply a dedicated fan. Then I noticed something unusual. She took notes. Actual notes. During comedy performances. While other audience members laughed, she sat there writing observations in a small electronic tablet. One night, curiosity finally got the better of me. "What exactly are you writing down?" She looked up. "Research." That answer somehow created more questions than it solved. "Research for what?" She hesitated. Then she leaned closer. "My people study human behavior." I laughed. "Good luck with that." "I'm serious." "So am I." Eventually, she explained everything. Her civilization was part of an interstellar cultural exchange program. Several alien species had become fascinated with humanity after discovering our entertainment networks. Apparently, human comedy was considered especially valuable. Her species understood logic. They understood mathematics. They understood science. What they didn't understand was sarcasm. To them, sarcasm was practically a supernatural ability. The fact that humans could insult each other while expressing affection at the same time completely confused them. When she first heard my comedy routine about my brother, she became obsessed with understanding why audiences found it funny. The more she studied, the more interested she became. Unfortunately, learning human dating customs proved even more difficult. Our first official date became evidence of that. I took her to dinner. She arrived carrying a notebook. "Why do you have that?" "I am collecting data." "You brought research materials to a date." She looked genuinely confused. "Was I supposed to bring weapons instead?" The waitress nearly choked trying not to laugh. Things became even stranger from there. When I complimented her appearance, she immediately asked whether I was being sincere or performing a traditional human mating ritual. When I paid for dinner, she attempted to reimburse me with a detailed spreadsheet. When I held her hand, she asked if physical contact was required by local regulations. By the end of the evening, I was laughing so hard my stomach hurt. Somehow that made her happy. She loved making me laugh almost as much as she loved studying why laughter existed. Meanwhile, my comedy career continued growing at an unbelievable speed. Videos regularly reached millions of viewers. Tour offers arrived from major entertainment companies. Interview requests flooded my inbox. And my brother hated every second of it. His latest strategy involved repairing his public image. According to him, the internet simply misunderstood him. According to the internet, that explanation was hilarious. He started appearing publicly to defend himself. That turned out to be a catastrophic mistake. During one interview, he claimed all successful entrepreneurs experience temporary setbacks. The host immediately asked how many successful businesses he currently owned. The interview ended shortly afterward. Naturally, the clip went viral. I used part of it during a comedy performance. The audience laughed for nearly 2 minutes straight. Then my brother made an even bigger mistake. He attended one of my live shows. Apparently, he intended to confront me afterward. Instead, someone in the audience recognized him. People started cheering. Others started laughing. A few even asked for photographs. Not because they admired him. Because he was famous as the guy from my stories. The realization hit him in real time. For years he had wanted fame. Now he had it. Just not the version he imagined. After the show, he looked absolutely miserable. My girlfriend watched the entire thing unfold. "Your brother appears emotionally distressed." "He usually is." "Should we assist him?" "How?" "We could erase his presence from the internet." I stared at her. "You can do that?" "Of course." "Please don't." She smiled. "That was a joke." For a moment I just stared. Then I realized what had happened. She had made a joke. A genuine joke. A sarcastic joke. And it was actually funny. The fact that she looked ridiculously proud afterward made it even better. That was the moment I knew this wasn't just some fascinating friendship. Somewhere between the comedy clubs, awkward dates, and endless conversations, I had completely fallen for her. And judging by the way she looked at me whenever I stepped onto a stage, the feeling was mutual. For the first time in my life, I wasn't thinking about my father's money. I wasn't thinking about my brother's failures. I wasn't thinking about proving anyone wrong. I was building a career I loved beside someone who genuinely believed in me. Everything else was just material for the next joke. A year after my father handed my brother $1 million, I found myself standing backstage preparing for the biggest performance of my life. The television special was being broadcast nationally. Even more unbelievable, thanks to various interstellar media agreements, it was also being transmitted to dozens of alien worlds. Millions of people would be watching. No pressure. I adjusted my microphone and looked into the audience. My girlfriend sat near the front. She smiled and gave me a thumbs up. A simple human gesture she had spent 3 weeks practicing. Nearby sat my father. For once, he looked nervous. A few seats away sat my brother. He looked like a man attending his own execution. To be fair, most of the show involved stories about him. The producer approached me moments before I walked on stage. "You ready?" I laughed. "I've been preparing for this since my brother received $1 million. The audience erupted into applause as I stepped into the spotlight. For the next hour I told the story that had changed my life. I talked about the family dinner. I talked about the inheritance. I talked about the business disasters. The luxury pet yoga company. The alien sock empire. The motivational seminar attended mostly by confused tourists looking for a restroom. Each story earned bigger laughs than the last. By the time I reached the original moment when my father looked at me and said, "You can earn your own," the audience was barely able to breathe. Even my father was laughing. Especially my father. That surprised me. For years I had imagined this moment differently. I thought success would feel like revenge. Instead, it felt like freedom. The show ended with a standing ovation. For several minutes people refused to stop clapping. Backstage became absolute chaos. Reporters wanted interviews. Producers wanted future specials. Sponsors wanted partnerships. My phone nearly exploded from incoming messages. Then my father approached me. For a few seconds neither of us spoke. Finally he shook his head. "I honestly didn't think this would happen." "Neither did I. I thought your brother was the safer investment." I glanced across the room. My brother was currently arguing with a vending machine. The vending machine appeared to be winning. "That may have been your first mistake," I said. My father laughed. Then something unexpected happened. He apologized. Not dramatically. Not emotionally. Just honestly. He admitted he had underestimated me. He admitted he focused too much on traditional success. Most importantly, he admitted that earning something yourself often created results nobody could predict. I appreciated hearing it. But surprisingly, I no longer needed it. A year earlier I would have done anything for his approval. Now I had built my own life. My own career. My own future. And standing beside me was someone who believed in me from the beginning. A few minutes later my girlfriend joined us. She looked unusually excited. That generally meant something interesting was about to happen. "I have news." "What kind of news?" "My government wishes to license your comedy programs." I blinked. "My what?" "Several planetary networks wish to distribute your performances." I stared at her. "You're telling me my jokes are going interstellar?" "Correct." "What about translation?" She smiled. "Trust me. Your brother is funny in every known language." For the first time all evening, my brother laughed. A real laugh. Not forced. Not angry. Just genuine. He walked over and shook his head. "You know what's really annoying?" "What?" "I got $1 million. "That's true. You got a comedy career, television specials, alien fans, and the smartest woman I've ever met." "Also true." He sighed dramatically. "I somehow became the side character in my own success story." I couldn't help laughing. Neither could he. And for the first time in years, there wasn't any bitterness between us. Just two brothers standing together, sharing the world's strangest family story. Later that night, as my girlfriend and I left the studio, she slipped her hand into mine. The city lights stretched across the horizon. My future suddenly seemed limitless. $1 million had once looked like everything. Now it looked small. Because money had never been the point. My father gave my brother a fortune. He gave me a challenge. My brother received a check. I received a reason to grow. And somehow, through hard work, laughter, love, and a ridiculous amount of family embarrassment, I ended up with far more than either of us expected. Not bad for the son who was told to earn his own.